Okay, let's start. Welcome everyone. Please join me and Kelvin Enumah in the next section, reducing the rate of accidental career entry into the social sector. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Kelvin. Kelvin's a social development professional with over 20,000 hours of hands-on experience in managing nonprofits, leading transformative programs, and developing social products and projects. He's committed to alleviating poverty, filling the skills gap, and empowering youth across Africa. Kelvin is passionate about innovating technical vocational education and training, drive youth engagement, and impacting community. He considers himself a bridge between sides. Kelvin is the founder of the Social Sector Training Program in Nigeria and our colleague and friend as the coordinator of PGS Career. Kelvin, with no further ado, thank you so much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Paulo. Thank you. And I would like to say a big thank you for putting this together. And I really would say that it was a cause for reflection for me when this summit came up, and I had to start preparing for it. A cause for reflection because I've been asking myself really, why is it that we are working towards sustainable development, and there still is a problem of, accidental entry. And what do I mean by accidental entry? By accidental entry, I mean that people, mistakenly find themselves, working in the social sector, and, to be a bit more specific, young professionals. So you have students who go through programs in the university, and at the end of the day, even though they've studied things like humanities or international relations or public relations, at the end of the day, they find themselves coming out to the workforce, and then they're at a crossroad, they're confused, and bringing it back home, again, as previous speakers have said, thinking globally but acting locally, bringing it back home, you realize that many young Nigerians, are really confused about, what sector, what career they want to take up. And this is worrying because if we are working towards achieving the sustainable development goals by 2030, we have a whole workforce that is still very much confused and going into the social sector accidentally, and maybe to further explain what accidental mean here, means that someone takes up a job in the social sector or in a non-profit or in the public space, and the person basically says that that is not what he or she wants to do. It's a mistake, really. The person got there by mistake, as a result of poverty, as a result of lack of preparedness, as a result of no jobs, and so on and so forth. Really, the stories are numerous because sometime last year, I was having random conversations with young people, and I kept asking them, what you are doing currently, is that what you would have done if you had, a different set of opportunities? And of course, many of them kept saying, I know that they really would want to do something else. Now, if this was in a different sector, I wouldn't have been worried, right? Because it would have been that they were chasing, profit or chasing the money for sustainability and survival, but these people were all working in the social sector. And it got me thinking, it got me worried that why do we have young people working in the social sector, and for them, there's zero intentionality and it's an accident? So one of the things that I got to do, and really my presentation is about sharing my experience, and what I've been working on at Wetland. And one of the reasons why we decided to start the social sector training program was because we discovered that it's possible for young people, particularly undergraduates, to go through their program in the university, oblivious of the reality, at hand. And many of them come out and they think that working in the social sector, working towards achieving the sustainable development goal, is a license to poverty. Now, we see this a lot in Nigeria because when you ask young people, would you like to work in a social project? Would you like to go to the communities and help them achieve, for example, SDG 1 or SDG 2 or SDG 4, and they tell you no, they really need to make money so they can make a living. So there's a misconception, right? But beyond that misconception is that they are basically propelled to fail. And if they are propelled to fail because there's lack of intentionality, lack of consciousness, then what that means is that we need to be worried are we really going to achieve the sustainable development goals in Nigeria? And, furthermore to say in Africa, because if young people are not intentional, if young people lack the consciousness, if they lack the preparedness, if they lack the necessary education about what it means to achieve the sustainable development goal, about what it means to work in the social sector, then I fear and I worry that, that the future is bleak for us, particularly, if we have to empower youth today, for a sustainable tomorrow. And at Wetland, what we have decided to do is to set up a program known as a social sector training program. And this social sector training program is basically aimed at reducing the rate of accidental career entry into the social sector. And later on, you get to see that we have a very, we have an ambitious goal here. And the ambitious goal is that we want to train and equip 30,000 undergraduates by 2030. Now, what does this translate to in simple English? What this translates to is that we want to have 30,000 intentional and competent talents to drive sustainable development. So think about that for a second. Imagine having 30,000 intentional. Take the intentional, take it really, as something that's, is a driver here. So 30,000 intentional and competent talents to drive sustainable development. Now, in my work at the PRME Global Students Task Force, Careers Task Force, one of the things that we have seen also in preparing, to like launch our careers mentorship, career mentorship program, is that a lot of students face, these crossroads, and many times they really need a lot of guidance, to sort of reaffirm their conviction, reaffirm their interest, reaffirm their drive, to work towards achieving the sustainable development goals. So yes, I can boldly tell you that we have, that clear ambition, that huge, goal, that we want to be able to train and equip, 30,000 undergraduates by 2030. Now, how do we want to do this? And I'm not just giving you an idea. I'm not just telling you an idea. No, this is not an idea. This is reality already. Because in May this year, we launched the first cohort. And as we move on, I'll get to show you a bit of data. You get to see what we have done so far. You get to understand that we are sort of already, at that phase where we are confident, knowing that, yes, this, what we have set up is working. And what we have set up is solving a problem. But then for us to do this, we basically train, we mentor, we place, and we support the students. Now, just to give you a better view, so training means that they go through 6 months of training, and this 6 months of training covers things around fundraising, partnerships, strategy, management, communication, compliance, legal, sustainable development goals. So like it ranges, it cuts across different, spheres of what it means to work in the social sector. Now, this training also is accompanied by peer learning. So basically, they are in groups because we noticed that with the first set, with the first cohort, we realized that many of them, there was really a resilience problem. There was a problem of persistence, and how do we solve this problem? Because it looks like a generational problem, where a lot of young people these days lose interest quickly, attention deficit problems, and then we realize that maybe when we put them in groups, it's going to help them, to be able to also, like work together towards achieving the purpose goal of completing their training. Now, as part of the program, they are mentored, so we connect them with mentors. And who are these mentors? Mentors are typically, senior professionals in the industries, in the social sector, executive directors in the social sector, program leads in the social sector, those that already have, started the journey before them, those that have been walking the talk, and those that have, tangible experience, to provide guidance to undergraduates. And this mentorship program is basically, for 3 months, and then it runs, and then throughout the 3 months, and they get to fix time and schedule things and, work around that. And we've had a lot of amazing stories because, for example, myself, I'm a mentor, and I had a conversation with one of the trainees, and, the feedback I got was really amazing because one of the things he said was that for him, this program has been, like that formal enlightenment that, he really craved for. That he really has been aspiring to do things in the social sector. He is trying to do things in the social sector. He's trying to achieve the sustainable development goals, but then the program has really just, opened his eyes to possibilities, to knowing that, see, that I can be professional, I can be more professional, I can be more formal, I can understand this, and I can be more intentional about driving, this change I want to achieve. And then thirdly is that we place them. When you speak with a lot of nonprofits, say, for example, a nonprofit that is, working towards achieving SDG 8, right? You speak with maybe the executive director of that nonprofit, and what you hear is that I have a problem with people. The people problem persists. And what is the people problem? The people problem here is that I don't have the right people, to fit into what I have to do. Like, it feels like the people are here, but their mind is not here. It feels like their heart is not here. It feels like, they are not intentional. They are not thinking about what I'm thinking about. So we have that divide where the executive directors, the founders, the pioneers are very passionate, are very intentional, are very goal-driven, they're motivated. But then a lot of people that work with them, be it a lean team or a large team, you realize that they have that consistent complaint. And what's that complaint? I don't have young people that are intentional and that are not, in this sector by mistake. And as a result of that, we've gotten a lot of buy-ins, and a lot of organizations have said, you know what, Kelvin, we're going to take interns from this program. And as I speak to you now, a number of people have been placed, as we'll get to see that data later on. Now, the last part of this is to support. We understand that continuous support is essential, if we are going to really drive and increase intentionality in the social sector. And as a result of that, after the program, they sort of join a community where we provide consistent and constant guidance for them. Now, just to give you a bit of data, because really at the end of the day, it's a question of, okay, what has been happening? What have you done? How do you know this is working? How do you know this makes sense, right? So in May 2023, this year, we admitted 42 participants, and these 42 participants, 50% of them were male, 50% were female. So like for me, it was almost like a testament of Kelvin, be calm. You don't have to start fighting, balance right now, because there really is a balance, and 42 of them were from 12 states across Nigeria. So we had people from the northern part of Nigeria, from the eastern part, the western part, the southern part. So across Nigeria, really. And then we had 10 facilitators. Interestingly, so what we decided to do was to engage industry professionals who are going to take live classes, so more like master classes. So as they take on their virtual courses, they have days for master classes. And it really has been an amazing journey, because we've been able to collect feedback after every master class, and the feedback is tremendous. In short, at some point after a master class, one of the participants just immediately said he wants to go and start his own nonprofit. Right now, he's so pumped up to start his own nonprofit, and we're like, no, calm down. That's not why you are here. You're here to learn, to be intentional about achieving the sustainable development goals. And then we had 8 partners, because we realized that we needed to also have that handshake with the organizations, with the industry, so that it's not a one-sided journey. And then we had 6 modules, as I mentioned earlier, 6 modules across different areas. Now, there's always a story behind the data, right? It's not enough to just talk about the data, but here's Enumah. She currently stays in Lagos. She was mentored by Laura Ede. Laura Ede used to be the foundation head at Tetra Foundation. She used to be the programs manager programs officer at Polaram Foundation. And currently, Enumah is going to be interning with Community Ports. Enumah already holds a bachelor degree in accounting, but for her, she wants to go into the social sector. She wants to drive sustainable development goals. She wants to drive change, but she doesn't know how to. She has that limited knowledge, that limited experience. And so for her, joining this program was a way to, show her that vast horizon and open up, different spheres for her. And here's Bruno. Bruno currently is in Ogun State. He's a student at the Tayo Solarin University, and he's pursuing a bachelor's in computer science. But Bruno is also passionate about the social sector. He's passionate about people. He wants to make impact in society. He wants to cure hunger. He wants to cure poverty, but he didn't know how to, because unfortunately, he just has to study computer science in his university, right? So what we have done is that we have given Bruno the opportunity to go through a program that has prepared him more or less to embark on this journey. And Bruno, of course, my mentee, and currently he's interning for volunteer.ng. Volunteer.ng is another initiative of Wetland that helps to connect social projects with volunteers, intentional and competent volunteers. Another story is Monica. Monica is currently stays in Lagos State, and she was mentored by Mrs. Edna Daffy, who is the director of Women's Board Educational Cooperation Society, and she's going to be interning at Tributary Initiative for Learning. Monica has a background in accounting, but interestingly, conversing with Monica, you realize that her experiences so far has basically been tilting towards the social sector, particularly the educational sector, and she wants to do a lot there, but she needs to be prepared, and that's why she joined this program. And then lastly, we have Anthony. Anthony is also in Lagos State, and he was mentored by Chinedu Knight, who is a software engineer, and basically, he's going to be interning with African Development Foundation, the owners of the Institute for Industrial Technology here in Nigeria. I would say the most prestigious technical institution in West Africa, if not Africa. But Anthony also is a student at the St. Augustine University, and where he's studying English. But then he wants to use his English to make impact. But then, does he have that opportunity in his university? Does the current structure support that? Does the system give him the opportunity to be able to make that impact? Well, I would like to say that I don't think so. I don't think so, and that's why he decided to join this program, and that's why he decided to be a part of this. Now, all these stories put together, keeps me energized, reminds me, of the goal, reminds me of, where I'm headed, reminds me of the fact that I am on a journey to help young people, to empower them today by helping them to be intentional. Because you and I know that when we're intentional about these processes, when we're intentional about what we want to achieve, when we're intentional about the journey, when we're intentional about, about achieving sustainable development goals, then we will actually get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kelvin. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise, for being that face of how students and at the same time professionals like you are driving change by doing great and by doing that efficiently. Thanks for sharing the three stories by the end, which are also other young people, other students serving people to move forward with their careers, with their studies, with their life dreams. It's highly inspirational, and it's amazing to count on you, on our PGS careers, bringing all that expertise to Prime Global students and to taking profit of this channel to also serve others around the world. Well done. Congratulations for your work, and thank you so much for joining us today. We will now go for a short break. We will come back to our program in 12 minutes from now with the panel discussion 2, Navigating the Digital Waters, How Do Tech Innovations Transform Education? So see you all in 11 minutes now in another room. So please feel free to come back to the lobby on Zoom and wait a few minutes to join us again in the next session. Kelvin, thank you so much again.
Thank you very much,
we keep
Paulo.
in touch.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.